Welcome back to Negotiation Tactics, NCR522. This week I would like to introduce a model that helps you understand the difference between what we call distributive or win-lose bargaining and integrative or win-win bargaining. I also want to talk a bit about the distributive dance. It's what most of you envision a negotiation course is all about. And frankly, we don't need to teach you what we call the distributive dance, how to split a fixed pie. If you are planning to purchase a home or a car, you basically need to do your homework. You need to research the prices, a fair price range within your area community, and be prepared to ensure that you're treated well. And sadly, I must say that the research still shows that women as a group are still ill-prepared for this. Now, we also are mistreated more often than men when it comes to car dealerships, real estate. But if we don't do our homework and research what is fair and just and possible, I mean, sorry, but what do we expect? We need to act like mature adults with strong intelligence, and perhaps we're going to experience more nasty tactics, manipulation, and attempts at bullying by men. But if we've done our homework and research, we will be prepared to hold our ground. Okay, let me turn to the model that I'd like to introduce to you today, the PowerPoint that I have prepared. Blake and Mouton were organizational researchers. I think they were actually lecturers at Yale. I've never taken the time to thoroughly acquaint myself with their background. But the grid that they created has been adopted by conflict resolution educators everywhere. And it works beautifully in introducing the difference between win-lose and win-win bargaining. If you take a look at their axes here, the vertical represents task performance. And 9-0 is, optimal task performance. Think the very best of military or law enforcement. They are focused on excellence, getting the job done. 0-0 represents no performance effort at all. That's very clear-cut. And then the horizontal axis is a focus on relationship. And 0-9 represents perhaps the anarchy organization or relationship where basically anything goes, the relationship comes first and foremost. Task performance might be neglected, thrown out the window. That's the basic grid. Now, most of you are going to imagine that NCRP represents 4.5, 4.5, little bit of task performance, a little bit of attention to relationship. This actually represents, though, win-lose bargaining. We meet in the middle. And most of us learned how to do this at, 2, 3, 4 years old. We learned when we needed to share. And if two people of relatively equal power are pulling on whatever needs to be shared, it will rip down the middle. So this is compromise. And what we often call the distributive dance. You make an offer, I counter offer, you're like, well, maybe I can move a little, and then I move a little. It's a very predictable dance to the middle most of the time. You do not need any NCRP education to learn how to compromise, meet in the middle. Optimal NCRP is actually 9-9. You are learning how to focus simultaneously on excellence with task performance, with win-win. And in order to do that, you must build the strongest possible relationships with excellent communication, understanding of each other, and collaboration. That is why you're studying negotiation tactics and NCRP, in order to create a true win-win. Now, before I end today, I would like to talk just a little bit more about the distributive dance. You know, generally when you study the distributive dance, and we're going to spend some more time on nasty tactics, bullying, after you've had a chance to see the HBO documentary Boycott. And most of my students are able to get that documentary through Netflix. It has been widely circulated, available. Let me know if you're having problems. I would imagine it's available on YouTube. I've never gone and looked, but let me know if you're having problems. We will spend more time once you've seen that talking about nasty tactics and response to nasty tactics. So this discussion is apart from that. Generally what's said with the distributive dance is you don't want to start with any kind of shocking offer. You don't want to be outrageous, you know, so that the person goes, please, you're just out of the ballpark. You haven't done any research. Who do you think I am? I'm not going to work with you. Instead, you've done your research. You make a fairly reasonable offer, and the other person, as I mentioned before, will counteroffer. Usually you don't. It's not simple. You have to dance a little bit, do a few moves and counter moves before you reach a fairly, you know, just middle. But that's exactly what goes on if you haven't blown it in the beginning by doing something outrageous or shocking. I've talked already about the importance of doing your research and knowing what a fair range is for whatever fixed pie you're attempting to divide, split down the middle, distribute. That is that's the most important piece of all of this. The other thing I would say is that if there is not relatively equal power, if, for example, you, like the civil rights movement, are having to take on entrenched power, people who hold much more power than you do, then distributive dance may not work the way I'm describing, because the person with more power is likely going to try to exploit. Manipulation can happen, but you are prepared to counter dishonesty, deceit, lack of information sharing if you've done your homework. Okay, I think that's enough on win-lose bargaining. I hope your mind is focused on how fun it will be to learn optimal NCRP negotiation tactics. Have a great week. See you soon.